Click the bell icon to get latest videos from Ekeeda.
Hello friends, since you know all of it now that we are talking about management and managers, today is a very important and interesting subject on qualities of good manager. Friends, it's absolutely necessary to have good managers in an organization. You all know how an organization doesn't sustain on a particular point if there are lack of good managers around. You would not believe missing out on great managers and good communicators can be bad from the bottom line to the topper higher management and the hierarchical level of the management. A company with 100 employees spends around 17 hours to just figure out the miscommunication or the communication gap, for which it spends billions of rupees. Billions of rupees are spent on misunderstanding caused due to miscommunication or not clear communications. That's the reason why we have managers at every hierarchical level. It's very important to follow the hierarchy first of all and then have the correct managers in those hierarchies as well. Lot of companies but obviously gives priorities to the managers because without them they are like the lifeline, the bloodline of the entire organization. Without the managers, I think it's almost a dead organization who cannot sustain for a very long time. But just what it takes for a manager to be great managers, here are 11 different kinds of good qualities of a managers which are put by different entrepreneurs. Now these are all the people who have gone through various issues in their organization. An entrepreneur is someone who's running their businesses, and that's how they come over all these issues, for which now they know what are the qualities exactly required for a successful career or successful job or successful business for that matter. So let's go through those 11 good qualities every manager should have. The first and foremost quality that every manager should have is he should be able to handle his cultural affinities, which means when we talk about perspectives of new hires from about our culture, it's of course that all the different people who are hired for a brand are from different cultures. It's very important to handle this cultural diversities very sensitively. We know our managers who are very great leaders, coaches and high achievers, but we also need to make sure that 100% invested in the culture that makes us different from any other firm in the industry. So it's very important, friends, to make sure that whenever you hire a manager, he needs to be very sound at his cultural diversities and differences. He also should be a person who could handle these cases very sensitively, because we are working here as a nationality Indian, but then a lot of cultures within us. So it's very important for every manager to handle his staff very sensitively when it comes to cultural differences. Anyways, we are in a country, India, which is unity in diversity. So of course, we need a very diversifying manager to follow the leak. The second quality a good manager should have is positive attitude. Excitement can be contagious, but if a manager excludes the positive attitude, what happens is that he doesn't boost his morale, neither can he motivate other people's morale. But at the same time, a manager excellent with his attitude, no going down any given point of time, always being high on his motivation and leadership skills, turns out to be amazingly high at his morale and also keeps his entire staff's morale very high. He sees to it that the entire atmosphere around him, he creates a very positive aura. It's at a very high level of positivity. I often see that satisfied and happy customers are more productive. They are the people who are able to give a lot of efforts in whatever they do, and and finally it results to a huge productivity in whatever norms they are or in whatever kinds of teams they work with. In fact, the entire teams is very positive. A manager that can motivate people while keeping them on task is a great asset to that organization. So we need to find these diamonds who are around us. We need to actually find out their ability to be really positive at amazingly stressed and bad times, and at the same time who can definitely also keep their teams motivated so that the company's morale is always at the higher level and the productivity increases by every year. Third and the most important, again, quality of a manager is prioritization. Friends, we could have a list of to-do things. A manager has a lot of things on his head, but a manager who understands what to prioritize when is a person who can understand the difference between importance and emergency. Urgency and importance are two different things which we always goof up with. And managers who have amazing ideas or amazing skills or abilities to understand the difference between urgency and importance are the managers who sustain for a very long time and can prioritize their task really well. Lack of focus is the reason why many small companies fail. A person who cannot prioritize its task definitely cannot reach up to the goal in time. The best managers solve the problems through ruthless prioritization. They actually prioritize a lot, where they identify the most impactful project out of 10, only 3 on which they really focus very high as a priority in their list. They help keep their employees so motivated that they know what exactly is served on their platter and right amount of time to give right amount of work and prioritization. So not only the manager, the entire team is prioritized and works on the target correctly. They finish the projects one by one, 3 out of the 10, and then move ahead, which is then according to the prioritized list. So friends, it's very important for every individual, in fact, to be prioritized, to know its priority. So while we make the to-do list, we also should make a priority list next to it to help us understand what are the things that we must line up one after the another according to the priorities. The fourth quality, which is a very unique quality not every manager has, but it is very important, is warmth and competency. Out of a lot of research done by Harvard Business Books or Harvard Business School, which the results has found that the best leaders have 2 unique qualities. These are actually unique qualities. They're not something which everyone would have or every manager would have, but that is warmth and competency. Now they follow the leaders from all the world around and discovered these 2 characteristics which help them to be the boss, in fact which help them to set apart the boss. So anyone working under these people who are full of warmth and competencies, those managers are actually treated like bosses. The company's staff doesn't even know who the bosses of the companies are. They treat the managers at that level. And with so much of warmth and competency, definitely the entire teams prospers amazingly. Managers need both of these qualities to lead their heads and their hearts. So it's not only your head work, it's also your heart work. So that proves that we can actually build up amazing teams. Managers with those ability, I salute them, because those are the people who can sustain for a very, very long time with an amazing team, and the team doesn't leave them come whatever for the entire life. The fifth quality a manager should have is empathy. Friends, we all know the difference between empathy and sympathy. I've been talking about it in various videos. So it's very important to empathize with people. Empathy is somewhere where you can help people to feel that you can help them recover their losses. Sympathy is something where you cannot recover the loss, but you are definitely feel very bad about the loss that occurred. A manager especially, with a lot of empathy, who can show that kind of empathy to the staff would always be on his side, because empathizing is the rule of going ahead with teams. If we are people who are working with team, it is very important to empathize with all our team members. Strong managers work with their teams to set priorities, and then they encourage direct reports to execute them. It's not like, they first ask the reports directly. We empathize with them, we train the staff. Good level manager trains the staff. He also directs him to what kind of reports does he want to actually generate. He's very clear about the goals. Everything is quite sorted, and then there is an expectation. That's exactly what I call empathizing professionally. Things will always go wrong, whether it's about the goals were wrong or even a junior person could screwed it up. At the startup, things are always in a flux. Not everyone is genius to come out of wonders. Everything might go wrong initially. It's critical that the manager cares about her team and that the team knows this, to keep everyone positive and working together. It's very important, friends, that the team should know that the manager cares, and the manager should know that the team also responds. A team who is full of empathy definitely goes very high, at least in terms of team building. So these teams which you see, where the manager is empathizing with the team and holds it like one, like a family, that team definitely reacts amazingly well. The sixth and the very necessary ability that every good manager should have is accountability. Friends, many a times you must have seen that all the managers work very hard towards achieving their goals and targets given by the company. But do they really are responsible or take responsibility of accountability? Friends, accountability is very critical and matters more than simply getting the jobs done. It's not about getting the job done. It's about how much accountable are you, or how much responsible do you hold yourself for the job done. A manager with very strong accountability qualities is a person who will take the actions and responsibilities come whatever to reach to the set goals and achievements. These managers report why something didn't go according to the plan, what went wrong, what could have been better, and finally work for the solutions. A manager with a sense of accountability never ever depends on someone else to let him know what was his job and what went wrong and what could have been better. He is the one who analyzes, executes for himself, and evaluates as well. Most of all, this quality will rub off when the rest of the team and they too will be accountable of their roles and responsibilities. Imagine a manager working so hard for understanding and being accountable for everything that himself he does or the team does, but the team is not accountable. It doesn't even work that way. So he has also to be a very excellent leader when it comes to the team building, where the team also understands what exactly do we mean by accountability, and definitely he would be a role model. The seventh most important quality that a good manager should have is honesty. Friends, it's very important for the manager of the organization to be extremely transparent to the bosses. At the end of the day, he is the person who is responsible to take the organization and the productivity to the next level. There are many bosses who simply want honest managers, someone who can tell them that they were not ready with the reports, someone who could tell them right now that was not the right time for doing these things. In fact, going ahead and telling the boss that what he was doing is also not the right thing. People like transparency, and especially today's generation, we all look at things very transparently. And it's very difficult if we do not have an honest person in place who's responsible to carry out so many higher level of responsibilities. It doesn't really go well. So a person who is honest will also definitely be accountable. It's all vice versa and goes hand in hand. I've trained a lot of corporates and a lot of organizations, and I have realized that there are a lot of managers suffering from lack of honesty, which the entire organization finally suffers. And more than anything else, at the first time of an interview, when a person goes for the interview, right from that time he has to start being honest and then go ahead with a long run with the organization. So as managers, I think it's very important, friends, whoever is a manager, you must be sure of what you're doing. There should be no goof ups that you must be doing, and of course you must be honest and very transparent to your jobs and to your profession. Friends, the eighth and the most important again quality of a great manager is patience. This is something which cannot be trained. So while I do a lot of training, I also tell them that all the skills can be trained, all the etiquettes can be trained. What cannot be trained is patience. And patience is an art, it's a virtue. It keeps everything going in control for years and years. Keeping patience is very, very important. A person who has very short patience, or who is very short tempered, or just leaves up things or gives up things and doesn't have the ability to survive with something for a very long time because he's impatient, those are the people who are not fit for the position of managers. Managers must be people who have excellent patience and ability to take anything that comes in front of them. Friends, finally, we need to understand that winning is something which is called not quitting. It's nothing like we are at the first level, second level, third level. It's not the race. So people who run in the race definitely see at the first three people who come first. But what about the fourth person? At some given point of time, he would also step into the first league. So I take winning as not quitting. I take winning as not giving up. So a person who has patience definitely is a winner because he doesn't give up and he doesn't quit. So it's very important to have managers with inbuilt abilities whenever you hire for your company, someone who has a lot of patience and who can take it and not give up things. Friends, I strongly believe that this is something cannot be trained or cannot be forced on. This is a personal ability which sometimes we need to also understand while we hire the managers. There are tests that I've been speaking to you about before in a lot of videos, which are called psychometric tests. These tests help you to exactly tell you what the abilities are while you're hiring any person or any staff in your organization. So these abilities like patience or life skills, I would say, these are something which comes as a conclusion in the reports, which would help you to go ahead and take the right person in the right position. The ninth and the most unique quality of a manager, I would say, is character. Personally, if you would ask me, I would never take a person in an organization whom I don't trust. Finally, if a person whom I don't trust is a cancer and hazardous to that organization at the same time, very, very difficult to sustain and very difficult to get rid of as well, costly to remove as well. So always hire a manager who is very, very clean at his character, as in whom you can trust. Trust factor is very important when we run a business. As an owner, if we are so dependent on that manager, we need to understand that there has to be amazing transparency, which can only be done if that person is honest, or if that person is amazing with character and trustworthy. So this is something, again, these are some life skills which there are inbuilt in some people. It cannot be trained, taught, put, anything. So always remember while hiring people that these are certain life skills which we need to check, and only then hire managers. The next and the 10th quality a great manager should have is flexibility. It doesn't mean flexibility of working for a very long hours. Flexibility means great managers working very quickly on different aspects. So if there are 10 things prioritized in front of the manager exactly knows how do I quickly finish it up within the working hours. Someone who works for extended long hours definitely contributes a lot and is great manager for the organization, but someone who doesn't know how to prioritize the list is again left out. So a person who is amazingly flexible to understand the entire working atmosphere, working environment, patterns, prioritization, to-do list, handling the staff, all the kinds of flexibilities, is a manager who would sustain for a very long time and bring productivity to that organization very quickly. Friends, right now we are running in a rat race. No one has time, or no one wants to slow down. Everyone wants the progress amazingly fast and quickly. For any given startup, let's talk about the startups. Startups always starts with someone who is investing in their company, and definitely they are paying back as loans and interests are going from the pockets. A manager who can start rolling the money quickly and immediately, bringing all the expenses with the profits along, is someone who needs to be amazingly flexible. We cannot always expect a lot of things from the employees, but the manager, if stubborn, the employees can definitely start bringing and rotating things quite flexible. So it's his job or his cup of the tea to do the entire task, divided, contributed to his staff flexibly, so that there are things coming back and then there is productivity high in that organization. Last but not the least, the 11th and the most important characteristic a good manager should have, or a trait a good manager should have, is effective decision making. Let's take my own things. I would always like to work with people who are their own decision makers. There are a lot of people who do not spoon feed. There are a lot of good bosses who leave certain decisions on the managers, and managers, they respect their decisions as well. So at the same time, these bosses are now completely dependent on the managers, and they need people with a lot of creative thinking. Managers with amazing creative thinking and excellent ability to handle their effective decision making are the managers who can sustain for a very long time. In fact, these are the people who prove themselves going ahead, and some years down the line they also start their own chain of prospect, their own chain of success. So it's very important to be an amazing decision maker as a manager. Any boss would initially put decisions on the managers, but in the case where he realizes that the managers makes amazing decisions, which definitely takes our organization to the next level and the entire staff along with it, he definitely then finally relies completely on the manager. Imagine a manager with all these 11 qualities would take the organization from zero to zoo. Friends, whenever we hire for your company, whenever you hire a manager, we need to see that these are certain qualities that we need to look into the manager, except the technical skills. These are all life skills which cannot be taught, cannot be trained, cannot be put into any kind of memory. These are inbuilt abilities, and definitely we must take people with such inbuilt abilities, because it's 50% like the work is done, 50% is only by the training of technical aspects. So friends, this, I hope that it's been very useful to you, this knowledge and information that I've shared on what should be the qualities internally inbuilt that every good manager should have for an organization. I hope we start understanding and using these formulas when we are hiring the managers now. I hope I have been of some help to all the organizations and even for the managers, for them to know what they need to prepare themselves for. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please stay tuned to Ekeeda and keep subscribing to our channel.